Welcome to the Richmond Leadership Lab, featuring business and nonprofit leaders across Richmond, Virginia. Produced and hosted by Filmspire and BenX.
Welcome to episode 12 of Richmond Leadership Lab. I am a co-host, Christian Mosier, with my other good-looking co-host, Taylor Quinn. Taylor, how you doing this morning?
I'm great.
Yeah.
I was in Mexico, like I just said earlier, a few days ago, and came back. It was, I guess, technically Tuesday at 1 a.m. to all the snow. So I am I'm missing the sunshine and the sunburn right now. But yeah. I'm happy to be back here.
On Richmond's number one podcast.
Richmond's number one podcast. Trust us, don't look it up.
Yeah.
Actually, I did. Funny enough, I did Google like top Richmond Leadership Podcast, and we do pop up.
Let's go.
As basically as number one. 12 episodes in.
12 episodes in.
So now it's a fact.
It is a fact. Well, we have a special guest with us today on the 12th episode here in December. We have Andrea Ahonen.
You got it.
Who's the CEO of Goochland Cares, who I have had the pleasure of knowing in the last, let's say, 12 months or so. 9 months, and she's done a great job so far at Goochland Cares, and we are thrilled to have you.
Thank you all for having me.
Absolutely.
Really appreciate being here on the Richmond's number one leadership podcast.
Thank you. Hey, it's true.
Look, 12.
Yes. And when Christian mentioned that having you, Andrea, on the show, I was like, absolutely. It's been a couple years since we worked together. You were at World Pediatric before, right?
Yeah.
And now you're at Goochland Cares. I've been there a little over a year now, as you said.
Yeah, year and a half, and time flies.
Time flies.
When you're having fun, when you're having fun. And the holidays, I feel like it's going to be a good podcast. We got snow on the grounds. We have a great guest.
It's been number 12.
Number 12. That's crazy.
Here we go.
Congrats.
Yeah.
Like, this is big. This was an idea that we had.
Yeah, later last year.
Just talked about, and here we are, our last episode of the year, 12 episodes in, a full year of this. It's been amazing.
We've already committed to 12 more next year.
We have, yes.
So we'll be at least 24 and potentially an event.
Potentially, we got some things cooking, so you have to stay tuned for that. So yeah. But it's not about us today.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I have some questions if you want me to start asking about.
Absolutely.
Well, why don't, for those of you, or those of the listeners that don't know you, why don't you kind of give a little bit about your background, Andrea, and just, where you grew up, where you went to school, all that fun stuff.
Sure. So like many Richmonders, I'm a transplant. I grew up in the Finger Lakes region of upstate New York, a small town called Skaneateles, New York. Beautiful spot, but looks much like what we have outside right now, much of the year. And I knew as a teen that I didn't want to stay in upstate New York and had my sights set coming south. And so I ended up at University of Richmond and have never left. So I've been down here for, 25 years now, and just really love the Richmond community and have made it my home. And never really thought I would be where I am. This was not a path that I would have thought I would pursue.
Wasn't the plan?
It was not the plan.
I feel like it never is. The plan just deviates sometimes.
Yeah.
Unless those people are like, I'm a doctor. And then they're just a doctor. That's great.
Right.
Yeah.
You kind of have to commit when you're on that.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a bit of a long-term investment.
Yeah.
And funny, I thought I was going to be a doctor, actually.
Oh.
That was
Really?
what I wanted to do. Until I was doing those 7 a.m. labs. And I just thought, and this is probably my 18, 19-year-old immaturity of, I don't want to do this. This is not what I thought it would be, and pursued a different path. But funny enough, some of my professional career has kind of come back to be really close with the medical profession and to get to see it in a different lens.
Yeah, especially with what you do today.
Yeah.
So upstate New York, that's probably a little bit of a culture change, moving to U of R or moving to Richmond at that time.
U of R specifically, probably not as much, because if you all know much about U of R, it's a lot of Northeastern kids at Richmond. I think.
Why do you think that is?
That's a great question. It's probably, it's a great education. When I went there, it was, I laugh now because I think it's probably $80,000 a year now. But when I went there, it was listed as one of the top buys, basically bang for your buck for the education at that time. I think, this is 2001 I started there, and it was, I think, $22,000 a year for a private school. Northeast, small private liberal arts schools are everywhere in the Northeast. So if you want that kind of education, but maybe want to head a little further south in terms of weather and culture and such, it's a great pick. I had a great experience there. Loved, still close with so many of my friends. And it's given me such great connections to being still in the Richmond area. A great alumni network and such. So I'm really, glad to have made that decision. At the ripe old age of 17, to head to U of R. It was, certainly set my life on a trajectory that as I stated earlier, I didn't anticipate.
Yeah. So you graduate, then kind of what's your early career kind of look like?
Yeah. So my very first job out of college, I was working as a recruiter for engineers. So it was a sales job, right?
Yeah.
It's a glorified sales job. I was cold calling businesses, trying to get them to use our recruiting services. And then I was also on the other side having to identify and source candidates. Now, this is pre-LinkedIn. So back then, Monster.com and Career Builder were the two big sources. Craigslist, but a lot of it, again, just cold calling. And I will be honest in that that job sucked my soul almost every day. I dreaded going to work. I was getting hung up on, talked over, talked at. It was something.
I feel like everyone needs that kind of job.
It was humbling for sure.
Yeah.
And it was, you had to be on, one of the measures of success was how many hours and minutes you were on the phone every day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And
that's still a measure of success.
Oh, I'm sure.
A few years later, when I was a recruiter.
So there's a lot of industries that use that measurement. And I now have come to realize I really do not like talking on the phone. Mm-hmm. Texting was like probably one of the best things to happen to me. I love a quick message. I love talking to people in person.
Yeah.
The phone, not so much.
Interesting.
And so to have a job where I was expected to do that, 6+ hours a day.
Torture.
Was not my favorite. But, it taught me a few things. Taught me about just sucking it up, right? Yeah. And sometimes you got to do what you got to do to earn a paycheck. Legal and moral, of course. And the sale, the next job that I went on to get that did set me on this career trajectory, I got because I had that sales experience, as little as it was. I was there maybe 8 months, but that sales experience is what got me to my next job, which was working for a nonprofit, a healthcare nonprofit, and the job was, fundraising events. And they wanted people with sales experience. And so because I had that little sliver of sales experience, at the ripe old age of 23, I got that job. And, 20 years later, I'm still in the healthcare nonprofit space. So that was the right decision, the right place. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you been in the kind of nonprofit world the last 20 years or so?
I sure have.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I've only worked for 3 organizations in that time. So the first 10 years I was with one organization where I went, again, as a young professional, and then 8 years spent with the next one, and then just recently in the last 18 months, at the third organization. So just 3 organizations during that time. I've had a lot of different jobs and a lot of different roles and responsibilities in that time, but all 3 in the healthcare nonprofit space.
Yeah. So you're tying in from potentially being a doctor to now you're still in the healthcare field a little bit.
Yeah, and I, getting to learn from and work next to and observe doctors, nurses, other healthcare professionals. It's just been really humbling and wonderful experience.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
So tell us a little bit more about Goochland Cares, where you are today, the mission, the vision, what's going on.
Gosh, Goochland Cares is such a special organization. And I don't say that just because I work there. It really, truly is unique. Goochland Cares is a health and human services nonprofit organization based in Goochland, Virginia, Goochland County. And our aim is to provide healthcare and human services to Goochland neighbors in need. And what that looks like, our roots started with a free clinic. And so there's certainly this medical health care, dental care, mental health care axis. But, the way that the organization approaches the well-being of the individual is about holistic well-being. So we have 12 wraparound services, including our clinical programs that look at how can we best support vulnerable neighbors, who need care in more than just healthcare. So that looks like, putting clothes on their back. That looks like food on the table. That looks like keeping a roof over their heads. That looks like keeping them safe from domestic or sexual violence in their homes. That looks like financial support and budgeting. And, the approach is so, I don't want to say simple, but it makes so much sense, right? That holistic approach, but it's relatively rare. From our research, there's only a handful of other organizations around the country that are doing what we're doing in the space that we're doing it. And I think there's a few different reasons for that, but I think it really sets us apart and makes us unique. I'm certainly unique in the Richmond area. We get asked all the time, how do you do this and how do you do it successfully? And I think it's, a couple of reasons. One being just the incredible support of our community. We are the bridge between those who are in need and those who want to support that need. Goochland County is a rather high disparity county in terms of income disbursement. And we are the bridge that, enables neighbors who have the resources to support others to be able to do so and do so really immediately. I mean, I love that people can walk in our building and see their contributions literally at work, every single day. So, we, like I said, with 12 programs, we're really hitting essentially most of the areas of need that folks will have. Not all, not every single need. We can't do everything for everyone, but we can also connect people to partners. We work with dozens of partners here locally in the greater Richmond community to help connect folks with what they need if we're not able to provide it directly. And, I think doing what we do, but doing it with such great care and dignity for those that we serve is, what sets us apart from, those that may just be checking a box.
We'll be right back after this short message.
Are employee benefits a headache for your company? At BenX, we simplify benefits so you can focus on growing your business. From custom benefit solutions to cutting-edge technology, we make it easy for companies to take care of their teams. Visit BenXConsulting.com to see how we can simplify benefits for your growing company.
Your story is powerful, but is it reaching the right audience? At Filmspire, we create compelling videos and provide marketing strategies to make sure they drive real results. From crafting your message to amplifying it, we help you connect with your audience like never before. Ready to inspire? Let's tell your story.
And now, back to the show.
Yeah. And the facility is really cool as well, because you walk in, it's almost kind of like a medical office, but to the left, it's like, it's a place to support people, with food and groceries, and then you have all these different services that I feel like we live in a day and age today that's all about like narrowing and like you do this, here's your lane, right? Like you do this. But one of the things I respect about you guys is you're after the holistic approach, not just like we do this one thing. It's like we really care about like the whole aspect of the individual, not just, mental health or not just this. I'm not saying, that's you shouldn't do that, but it's really a holistic approach.
Yeah, and I think that's a challenge, right? Is how do you not have scope creep? How do you not get too wide to where it's at your own detriment? And, I think one of the ways that works for us is we're in a rural community. Goochland County is, while the eastern end of Goochland is, essentially Short Pump West. I know Goochlanders will hate to hear me say that, but, it's situated right near Short Pump. So it feels very close to the suburban kind of lifestyle and amenities. The western part of Goochland is 40 miles away. Right? It's a very wide county, and Western Goochland is not Short Pump. Western Goochland is actually a food desert. It is a designated food desert because there are no grocery stores in Western Goochland.
Wow.
The closest grocery store is in Goochland Courthouse, which is dead center of the county, which is where we are located. And it is very it's very rural. It's mostly farms, undeveloped land, and it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And there's a lot of poverty in that part of the county, and so we're not in a county that has dozens and dozens of nonprofit organizations and other services ready and able to help. And our, we've always said we don't want to duplicate what's already being done in the community. So that's kind of our benchmark is it being done here? If it's already being done here, let's partner with that organization and funnel people their way.
Smart.
If it's not being done here, that's when we need to look and say, okay, how could it be done? What does that look like? Are we the best people to do it? The answer may be no, but how can we help catalyze and make sure people's needs are met? So I think that's how a lot of the programs that we are in kind of started. We also, in 2007, the Free Clinic merged with a a human services organization called Goochland Fellowship and Family Services. That was a number of individuals who had come from a church in the community and said, we need to put clothes on people's backs and make sure they're fed. And so some of those programs kind of came along with that merger of those two organizations. But some of the other programs have been, identifying this is a need and this isn't something being done in the community, and are we the right people to do it? But I think we have to constantly be checking ourselves on that, because people, knowing our approach, will come to us and say, hey, we think you guys should do X, Y, and Z. And we have to ask, is that going to dilute what we're able to do now in our other 12 programs?
Right.
And so, that's part of growth and leadership of an organization, is identifying what the right opportunities are to pursue and which are, better for someone else to pursue.
Sure. And you guys are pursuing a new opportunity now.
We are. So Goochland County land is at a premium.
No joke. I was talking to someone recently. I'm like, we can't afford Goochland, basically. I think
it
probably depends on where you're speaking in Goochland, but it's really blowing up.
It is. The average home price, I think, is over $700,000 now.
Wow.
And there's a lot happening in Goochland. and it's hard to find land. And so we, about 8 years ago, consolidated all of our services under one roof. We built a building right in the Courthouse Village area, as I mentioned, of Goochland, and brought all our services under one roof, which allows us to be much more collaborative. It's great for patients and clients because they can come to one place. And while they're waiting for their clinic appointment, they can go to the food pantry. They can shop in the clothes closet to get clothing and household goods. They can see a case manager. I mean, it's really a beautiful, example of consolidation working really well. And yet we have outgrown our space. 12 programs. We've got 54 staff now. We have, hundreds of volunteers that are there on a regular basis. At any given time, we might have 25 to 50 volunteers in the building.
Yeah,
and
it's nuts.
Yeah, it's busy.
It really is.
It's
like
busy.
you walk in and just people are just kind of like all
everywhere.
over the place.
Yeah,
and there's staff. There's the members of the community. There's volunteers and
Hot place to be.
It is.
It really is.
And we joke. This is not a joke. We've turned every closet into an office, and we're doubling up. And our community room, which we had, we use for meetings and training and such, is now, doubling as storage and a warehouse and, everything you can imagine. So we have reached our capacity and, unfortunately, the need has grown. When we opened the building, I think we were serving about 200 families a week in our food pantry. We're almost at 400 now a week. Yeah. And so the need has increased substantially. And so we were able to have the opportunity to purchase the property just adjacent to our current buildings. And we just recently cleared an old bank that had gone into disrepair and a lot of internal issues and mold and such that we're not going to be able to rectify easily and within any sort of good budget. So we cleared that building, and it's sitting ready for us to build our next piece of the campus, right? And we know we need more space for our food pantry. We know we need more space for our clothes closet. We know our medical and dental clinic need more space to operate. So we have some real needs, but we also opened up the opportunity for the community and other partners and organizations to give us feedback on what they thought the Goochland community needs. Again, we're a rural community, and so we are looking at how can we serve, the entirety of Goochland in a beneficial way. And so we've gotten some great ideas, and I think a lot that are really mission aligned to what we do. And so we're excited to start charting the future and expanding our campus here in the next few years.
That's amazing. That's awesome. Yeah. So you mentioned, again, a lot of different service lines, or I guess, ways you provide care and things like that. You mentioned new ideas popping up, things like that. How do you prioritize which one needs more love, attention versus that, and things like that? How do you kind of help make those decisions in terms of being like, here's what we need to focus on in the next half of the year, next 12 months? What does that look like?
Me personally, or the
both,
organization?
Both, yeah.
Well, those two things look very different. As I'm learning, I was having a conversation with a gentleman who's an executive coach, and he said to me something I thought was really interesting. He said, likely what you did in your career to get you where you are is not what you need to be doing moving forward.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah.
And
it's probably spot on, actually.
Right? Mm-hmm. I thought, because the things I was really good at that brought me here, I need somebody else to do now. Mm-hmm. Right? I need to be focusing on other things, which means I have to really push myself. You think of leadership as this destination, right? You've arrived. You now you just coast, and it is actually
you just lead.
Right?
Whatever that means.
It's very simple. Just lead.
Yeah.
No, it is, but it is actually the exact opposite, right? You've all of a sudden got to start doing things that you've never done before. You've got to start getting yourself out of the comfort zone of where you've found success. So I guess I don't mean to dodge the question that you had, Taylor, but, what I've been wrestling with myself is, what does my time look like, right? So the answer is the first year I was with Goochland Cares was really, I was in the weeds, right? Mm-hmm. I had to learn. I had a lot of people to learn from. I had to really understand. As I said, I was coming from the medical space, and so I'd been very ingrained in that for a long time. So the medical clinic and such was very familiar to me, but all the other services, food insecurity, homelessness, some of these other issues, sexual and domestic violence, these are areas that I had no experience in. And so learning what those challenges are, what the potential solutions are, who the players are in those spaces, what the approaches are. I mean, that's been a lot of my time getting to know the people, 54 staff members, and they all have a whole lot more expertise. This is the first job first leadership position that I've been in my career that I didn't come up through the ranks in that organization.
Yeah.
So I mentioned I was with 2 previous organizations. And so, 10 years at one, 8 years at another, I was, very much in the weeds, walking the walk, learning the business and the people through, my time there and kind of moving up into different positions and roles while I was there. This is the first time I'd come in somewhere.
Right.
And I didn't do the job that everybody, quote unquote, underneath me had done before. So,
how'd that make you feel?
Great question.
Thank you.
I think it made me, first it made me feel curious, right? There's a lot that I had to learn, and I was excited. I love learning, so that's a good thing for me, is that I was curious and wanting to understand more. Yeah. It made me feel, if I'm being honest, insecure.
Sure, yeah.
Because who am I to be telling anyone how to do what they're doing? They know better than I do. And I very much know that I'm not coming in there to tell anybody what to do, right?
Yeah.
That's the irony of that. But, when you first think, I'm supposed to lead these people and I don't know what they're doing, let alone the best way to do it. And I think it made me feel challenged in a good way, right? This was not going to be me coming in and just coasting or just clocking in and clocking out.
Oh,
it was going to push me to learn and grow, and that was really exciting to me.
Yeah. Wow. That's so interesting, because what got you here won't get you there. We're kind of experiencing that now, and it's so true. And it's like sometimes it's just like letting go of the grip of knowing everything or just being involved in everything. It's like for us to take the next step, and like for you guys, it's like a lot of times you're not going to know some of the things that are going on, right? You're just going to have to, I guess, hopefully handle whatever that priority is for you.
Yeah, I remember this point in my career, and it was in my first organization. And I mentioned I'd started there, I was 23, young, kind of entry-level fundraising job. And within a few months, my boss at the time, the executive director, decided she was going to leave for another job. And she came to me and said, I think you should, go for my job. And I knew nothing. I'd been there 4 months, I think, 3 months maybe. I felt like I knew nothing. I was the newest kid on the block. I was young in years. I thought, this is crazy, but if she thinks I should at least interview for it, why not, right? Well, I got that job, and I learned so much in that time. But one of the things that I learned throughout my time there, and I can think back and remember my thought process when I was 24 and a manager of a bunch of people that were older than me and knew a whole lot more than me. From then to now is I don't have to be the one that has the first idea, the best idea, the answer. I have to be the one that has the good questions, right? The right answers or the right, I laugh because I remember thinking, I want to be the first one to raise my hand and know the right answer, right? And it was probably like kind of coming out of college and school and being the A student who wanted to know all the things, and your teachers, applaud you for being the first one to raise your hand. And I think I approached, the professional world in a similar way. And I've since realized that it's sometimes so much more valuable to be the one sitting back and listening to, what other people have to say, and then asking the right questions, or asking questions that get you to the right questions. And I had no idea about that as a young leader.
Yeah.
I think I was trying to prove myself, right?
Totally.
I had to show that I had these great thoughts and ideas, and that's not, I think, what it's about.
Yeah. That's a great point.
Yeah. How have your expectations changed in the last 16, 17, 18 months when you took the job and you're like, hey, here's what I think is going to happen, and then who you are today, right, as a leader? How have the expectations changed at all? Has the thought process changed at all in the last 18 months?
Yeah, so patience is a virtue. And there were things that I identified early on when I got to Goochland Cares as opportunities. And I had to keep some of it to myself. I had to, the how is really important. Just because you identify something that could be improved or could be changed doesn't mean the right thing to do is just to go ahead and do it right
Especially
away.
timing.
Timing is so important, and trust, right? So I had to really focus myself on, yes, I could identify those tasks or those things that needed to be changed or could be changed or improved, but I first needed to work on my relationship with the people there. I mean, this sounds silly, but my goal was within the first week, I wanted to know every single person's name and their job. It was 50-something people. Luckily for me, they all wear name tags.
Yeah,
So
they
that
do.
helps. But within my first 2 days, I said, can I get a document that has everybody's picture, their name, and their title and their department on it? And I was fortunate that somebody had enough foresight to have done that before I said. They said,
Nice.
"Oh yeah, we had that for you."
That's great.
But just learning, something I did early on, and honestly, this wasn't something I intentionally did, but it just came natural. Was sitting in the break room to eat my lunch, and because people come in, right? You start chit-chatting and learning about people and learning what they do and who they are and all that, it comes back to people. It was funny because our HR director said to me, I don't think I've ever seen and she does consulting, so she works for us about 25 hours a week, and she has some other clients that she works for. She said, I don't think I've ever seen a CEO sit in the break room and eat lunch.
Really?
Yeah. And I thought, but that's the break room. That's where people eat.
Yeah. Right.
Now, I will say more times than not right now in life, things are going so fast. I'm scarfing something in front of my laptop. So I hate to admit that. But just getting to know the people, them getting to know me, and hearing from them, because some of the more times than not, the things that I had identified as needing to be improved or changed, or they had already identified that. Many of them have, and so just hearing their thoughts and ideas, and again, learning about them as people was the right place to start, and then that building that trust and being vulnerable. That can often be a really uncomfortable place for a leader to be. Right, is being vulnerable. And fortunately for me, that comes somewhat naturally. And I think that maybe that just comes from a point of honesty.
Yeah.
Right? This is what I know. This is what I don't know. Becoming a lot more self-aware
Yep.
in through life, right? Life's lessons teach
Yeah.
you your failures. You learn a lot as time goes. And so being open and willing to share those things with the team. Standing up in front of my whole staff and telling them the things that I'm not good at or that I need to learn more of. And, who best to learn it from than them? There's no one better.
Yeah.
And so starting there, I think has made any changes that were to come happen a lot more naturally, a lot less forced. So a lot of these things had already been percolating, right? They already knew and identified. And so then kind of like following that energy and those leads there instead of feeling like I was forcing anything. And, having a leadership team, we had some unexpected changes within my first year with the leadership team, and those were hard. And where we are now, we're in such a good place, and the leadership team are they're like my backbone.
Cool.
They are the ones. So, you had asked the question, I don't know, a long time ago, 10 minutes ago about, where to focus time and energy and how to balance. And, my circling way back around is, having a leadership team, they're certainly closer to these different areas of the business than I am. And so, giving them the space to be, more in the weeds and helping kind of be the eyes and ears and me listening to them and hearing their guidance. I mean, that, if I can give them the space to do that really well, then that's my job, right? And because I have that solid leadership team to do that they're experts in their areas of the business, it's pretty easy because I just get to sit back and, again, ask questions, make sure we're, on the right track, and the tweaks are very minimal. They're usually right on course. Yeah. And my job is to support them in that, and to be looking forward. Yeah. Right. And that's the dance is how much time are you spending kind of in the business, right? Yep. Versus in the here and now versus what's coming, right? How do we prepare and we're at that point organizationally, right? As I mentioned, we're going to be expanding. We're going to be starting a new strategic planning process. We're going to be doing a capital campaign to raise the money to build this building.
That's a lot.
And so we have to ask and then answer the questions, what is the community we serve going to need in the next 10 to 15 to 20 years? We don't know all the answers to that. The population is shifting and changing. Yeah. Goochland County is growing. I think it's the second fastest growing county in the state. Of course, there are things on a federal and a state level that impact, our clients and those we serve. We can't control any of that. So we can only control, what's kind of in our backyard and how we handle it. Asking a lot of questions, getting the information we can, and then, designing physical space and programs that can be flexible, right? That can grow and shift, leaving ourselves margin to adjust to changing environments and dynamics in the future.
Yeah. And I thought what you said too with being self-aware as a leader. We work with a lot of different companies, and you don't see that in every company. Leadership being self-aware. A lot of times you might see, like they feel like they have to have the answer or set the direction, or, I think something powerful, which sounds like you're doing already, is just, if someone goes like, "What do you think about this?" It's like, what do you think? What do you think about it? It sounds like empowering the leadership team and the people to also help make that decision. So to piggyback on that, my question, also another question I wanted to ask you was, how do you differentiate the time you spend in and on the business? Because those things pull at each other, right? Because it's like one's future planning, one is like the now, the issues today and the fires. And do you have like specific days or times or just what schedule allows, or how do you kind of differentiate?
I wish that I could tell you I have this very intentional daily plan of 60% of my time is spent on this and 10% on this, and I don't. There have been times in my life I've had times of my life when I'm really on it and I got my stuff together and I'm really structured. Right now is not one of those times. Admittedly, the things that I do to ensure that I'm not only just focused on the minutia and the here and now are talking to other leaders and being in and around and with other leaders. And that may be outside of my industry. So, example, a person I knew from my two previous jobs ago, 15 years ago, is now the chief of the Henrico Fire Department. And our paths crossed recently, and I said, I just want to pick your brain. I want to hear about being a leader of, he's a leader of 1,000 people or something like that. And talk about crisis, right? Their entire business is crisis.
Literally putting out fires.
Yes, and accidents, right? They are. And so how do you, in a business that's so responsive, how do you be intentional? How do you be forward thinking? So we had a great conversation about leadership. So I think just being, consistently seeking wise counsel outside of my immediate environment is really important. My husband's a small business owner, and so he comes across lots of people all the time who are great in their industry. And, and I think being intentional about constantly looking outside yourself and, leadership is really a whole lot less about the nuts and bolts of your business and way more about people and how you, the soft skills. Yeah. Right. And those are transferable between industries. Yeah. And so, making sure that that's part of my schedule constantly all the time. As I mentioned, I'm a big learner. And so I'm a big reader, love reading. And when I don't have as much time, podcasts, because I can be driving. I've got a 25-minute commute.
We got a good one.
I will make sure. I have actually gone back and listened to a bunch of your episodes. But
and my question for you is, how do you have the time? So the first two people that I guess quote unquote introduced me to you, they both described you as Superwoman because obviously you have 5 kids.
I do.
You were on maternity leave in the middle of your obviously transition to Goochland Cares and the leadership role. And so how the heck do you have the time?
How does Andrea do it?
So that statement I said, like right now is not the time when I feel like I've got my stuff together and I'm super organized. I have 5 kids, including the youngest is not quite 8 months old. So I still am, in the thick of it up to high school. So I've got a high schooler, a middle schooler, 2 elementary schoolers, and a newborn. Yeah. So I am learning all the time. But time. Yeah. My favorite time of day is early morning.
Yeah.
How early?
Right now I get up at 5 every day. I've had early. Times of my life when I used to get up at 4 every day. And that means going to bed a lot earlier.
Totally.
I will say. Yeah. That I'm not one of those I just power through 3 hours of sleep every night.
Yeah,
no. That's not good for your health.
It's not sustainable either.
No, not sustainable. But that 5 a.m. time frame it really makes a huge difference in how my day starts. I started when I started becoming an early riser because I used to think I was a night owl and I could sleep before kids, right? I'd sleep until like 10 or 11 and love it. And, then I had kids and realized that's not going to happen. Yeah. But that early morning, it's the only time of day that no one else's agenda can impact mine. And so that was the time that I can choose to do the things that I want to get done, right? And get set my day on that course. It's all you just have to make choices, right? I'm not doing it all right now. It's also seasons of life. I know I'll get back to where, I feel like, I'm really regimented and I have my structure right now with, a young baby who, they need you for everything.
Yeah.
So if he wakes up super early one day because he's sick, that kind of changes the plan. But I know we will get back to that time. I will get back to that time where I get to own my time a lot more. So it's just making really intentional choices about what are the non-negotiables, what are not. We have, I think, and as a leader, that's, I know what my priorities and my values are. And when you come to hard decisions, whether it's as a parent or a spouse or a leader or a friend, if you can use those kind of core tenets to guide you in your decision-making process, I find that can make hard situations at least have clarity. It doesn't necessarily make it easier, but it might give you clarity on at least knowing that navigating through that hard choice or that hard decision will be worth it. And I don't think I was that intentional, early on in my career. I think I was kind of reactive and just situational of, how am I gonna make this work right now, here and now, and not so much kind of taking a step back and saying, well, what's important to me.
Yeah, I feel like you answered it, but I was going to ask you, you being like, probably not working at my best right now, or where I'd like to be, and all that kind of stuff. But I was going to ask, is that okay? But it seems to be like,
I've had
it's
to make peace with it.
Yeah, but it's probably been hard.
I also know that it's a season.
Yeah, exactly. That's perspective. That's wisdom you've gained from going through all that. Yeah.
It doesn't reflect. So, I don't know if you guys follow Enneagram, but I'm Enneagram 3.
Okay, yeah.
Which is like the achiever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like type A.
Yes,
Kinda.
in it, like results.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I want to productivity. I want to be productive. I want to be, seen for my results, right? And I think, and I still think I am, that's kind of hardwired into me from, a young age. But I also think I have realized that there are seasons where it's okay to soften a bit, to prioritize other things, right? I still want to, my to-do list is still burning a hole in the back of my brain every day. And I have a great sense of achievement in checking things off and getting things done. But I think it's just giving myself a little bit more permission. I had a season of life where kind of what I would call in my mind, the biggest failures that could possibly happen in life happened within a year of each other. One was an organization, the organization I was with at the time did a reorg, and my boss's job got eliminated. And so my boss took my job. And so I got, quote unquote, demoted, right? And within a year, I also went through a divorce. And so as an achiever and someone who wants to kind of, be constantly going up, right? Up the ladder. There's only one way, you go up. There's no going back. Both those things happened around the same time. And that, really hard season, when I look back, those two things were also two of the things that set my life, changed the course to where I needed to be to get to where I am now. And the things I learned about that, the kind of releasing of the pressure to, pursue other other paths, you know, I don't know that I would have learned them had I been on that same course in either way.
Yeah.
And I'm okay, right?
Yeah.
You know, your life, the map kind of changes courses, and I'm so grateful for the life I have and the life I've built, and I've learned such great things through that time, and the grace, right?
Yeah.
And the grace I give to
Right.
each other or to others, giving that same grace to myself too.
Totally.
I'm learning a lot over here.
Golly, I'm a 1 on the Enneagram. So
You're type A.
Like perfectionist.
Yes.
you know?
Yeah.
You
so,
are
like,
type
I get that
A.
in terms of like, I got to get this done right and do it this way. And if I
Yeah.
don't, everything else is a failure, basically, you know? So I relate a lot to that in terms of just like, it is sort of achievement a little bit, but more just like perfectionism. And because anything else is just failure, basically. But it's funny how I find like sometimes your greatest strengths are also your greatest weakness
They
at
are.
the same time.
That's such a great point.
You know, but there's a healthy version of a 1 or whatever and then an unhealthy version of that same thing too. So learning how to balance and grace. I like what you said there. Yeah.
But you know what? I think a wise mentor of mine early in my career taught me. Funny story. So, you know, again, 23-year-old manager, and I'm hiring people, and every candidate that I'm interviewing is older than me and has a lot more experience than me. And like, you know, my immature self is going, well, how are any of these people going to follow me and listen to me, right? They're not going to do anything I say. You know, at that time thinking, oh, leadership is just, I tell you what to do and you do it. Right? We all know that's a joke, right? But, and she said to me, you know, Andrea, if you hire people that are less than you, meaning less experienced, less skilled, less knowledge, you will be constantly making up for that gap. You will be the one working late nights every single weekend because the people around you don't have the capacity to do it. But if you hire people who are more than you know, more skilled, more experienced, more empathetic, more insert thing here, you will be learning from them constantly. And as a team, you will be unstoppable. Because the limit does not exist, right? You're going to all push each other and be, and so hire people not only with more than, but different than you. So, you know, as you brought up the Enneagram, you know, when I approach hiring now, I look at it as like, what are the things we don't need, we don't have?
Yeah.
What are the skills we don't have? Because we can make this puzzle really complete as a collective unit. I know I'm not going to be good at these 80% of these things. So let me make sure I have people on my team. And that's how I think my senior leadership team is just amazing, because we all come to the table with different skills, different perspectives, different experiences. And so as a collective unit, you know, we can kick butt because we all come together, you know, differently. You know, that's, I think, where that probably, if I think about it, is probably one of the best leadership lessons, right? Is you don't have to be everything. Your job is to put the other people in place so that as a team, as a collective, you can be everything. And have the vulnerability and the humility to do that, to not be threatened by people coming into your orbit, right? That are going to have a whole lot more than you in certain capacities.
Right.
Or the control factor of it. Right? Like you want to control the outcome, control the
That's
results.
me. It's like I don't trust anyone else to do the job as good as me. You know, which is hard because then I'm like, then I'm
You're
also
the one
slave to my
suffering.
own self.
Yeah, you're
basically, is what
suffering because
happens,
of it.
You know,
Yeah.
but you're right. Like, find the things that you aren't the best at, right? And trust that you're going to hire someone who can do that way better than you think, you know, my ego thinks it could do, basically.
And by the way, you're gonna learn in the process.
100%.
Because you're gonna get to watch them up close and personal, right?
And a good mindset shift there that I've been thinking through is like 80% done by someone else is 100% better than it being done by you.
Yeah.
Which, obviously it'll probably be better than 80% in general, right? With the right team. But a good mindset shift is like, even if it's done, 4/5 of the way or 80%, it's still better. It obviously different task, but that task is still better than you doing everything or controlling the outcome of it.
Yeah.
Or not getting done.
Yeah.
Because it's still sitting on your to-do list.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You mentioned, a season that was really hard, probably a low point in terms of career. Is there something in your career that you, though, feel you're super proud of? Like a moment, a milestone that sticks out or anything like that you feel like you were really proud of yourself as a leader?
I mean, I've had, obviously, coming to be CEO of Goochland Cares has been a high point, not only just because of those letters, right, but the organization that it is, the reputation in our community. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I tell people I work at Goochland Cares, and I try to not even say what I do there unless they ask, and people will tell me their experiences or what they know about it, and it be so overwhelmingly positive, right? That fills you with pride. It's like having a kid that is a rock star, right? But it's funny, and I've had great successes in my career, but I think one of the things I'm most proud of is when the times that there's been a work-related decision that's the really hard decision that there are people that are not going to like that decision, that I know it's going to ruffle some feathers, or maybe not ruffle feathers, but there's going to be a negative outcome. Still pursuing and doing the right thing because I know it's the right thing in spite of those situations. Sometimes it's someone's not in the right role and they've been in it a long time, but other people have not wanted to deal with it. And so they just kind of let that person continue, doing something where they're not the right fit. And so making those changes and then seeing them flourish after the fact, and the organization be better for it, right? Or the culture be better for it. I think those are the times that I feel the most, I guess, satisfaction and pride over, because they weren't the easy decision. They weren't the shining star that this was obvious, this is going to be the right thing and everything's going to go fine. Because that's what actual leadership is, right? Yeah. Leadership is 5% of doing this kind of thing and seeming like you know what you're talking about. And 95% of it is questioning yourself is, am I making the right decision? Which is the right decision? How do I pursue this this path when I think it's the right one, but it's going to be really tough and it's going to impact people? And I think that is where, that's what I feel like defines me. And as a reforming people pleaser, I will say, that was hard for me, right? I always got a lot of satisfaction out of doing the things people wanted me to do, right? And that's not often what leadership is about.
Yeah. Great point.
Mic drop.
Mic drop.
Right there.
I know.
You mind if we ask you a couple fun questions?
No, go for it.
So we'll ask a couple fun questions and then we'll end it. Let's just end it on the nonprofit question. A couple fun questions we like asking every guest is, I guess the first one, what is, if it's date night or, a special occasion, what are a couple like your favorite restaurants in Richmond?
Well, I'm going to talk, we're going to go to Goochland because a lot of people don't come out to Goochland, but there's a couple of good spots out there. And two of my faves are Ekati, which is a fun kind of European-inspired spot right in Goochland Courthouse. And then another is Bella Cecilia, great, Italian. Wow. Good pizza. I'm a New Yorker, so the pizza in Richmond is a little lacking, but I will tell you, Bella Cecilia's pizza is pretty pretty close to a New York style big gooey slice of pizza. It's the family that runs it, they're Italians.
Yeah.
They're actual Italians. So those are two of my favorite spots.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Goochland is blowing up.
Come take a drive out to see us.
Yeah.
It's it's a beautiful spot. I love doing the reverse commute every day. I get to go against the traffic.
Yeah.
And it's rolling hills and farms. And I'm from upstate New York, so it's very similar to where I grew up in terms of landscape and farms. And it's a beautiful county and just filled with unbelievably generous and giving people.
Yeah.
You see them every single day.
It really is a gorgeous drive too.
Yeah.
When you're going
and
out there.
float. If you've ever floated, I've
there you go,
floated
down the
through
river.
the river that way a lot of times.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like real nice.
It's a little more of a time investment, but
it is. Yes, yeah. But I used to do that for the 4th of July. Like we'd get like almost like 100 people go out.
Wow.
Out into Goochland. There's like 2 kind of drop off points basically that we would go, and it was a blast. It's beautiful out there. It's amazing. If you weren't the CEO of Goochland Cares, what would you be doing?
Yeah, so I would probably be a surgeon or a surgical nurse.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, I love, like I mentioned, I thought I was going to set out to be a doctor, and I probably, I don't know.
Should have stuck through those labs.
I say I should have, but I'm really happy where I am, so I don't want to. I'm not about regrets, but with my previous organization, I got a chance to be part of, being in the operating room and watching a lot of surgery, and
wild.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
So cool.
That's cool.
And being somebody that likes to see the outcome, there's a very tangible outcome to surgery.
Yeah.
And so, if I had another 20 years, if it was 20 years ago and I had time on my side, then I, maybe would consider pursuing something in the medical field, but on surgery. Yeah,
Cool.
I think it's amazing.
Cool.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Well, one of the things we do for every episode of the show is we ask our guest is what's a nonprofit that they would like to give a shout out to, because we make a small contribution to that nonprofit of their choice. Obviously, we would like to contribute to Goochland Cares.
Thank you.
But yes, and any other shout out or anything like that?
Well, thank you guys for doing this.
Yeah,
I think it's
absolutely.
great to elevate different voices and smart of you all to also it gives you a chance to learn from so many people in different industries.
absolutely.
And,
I'm the dumbest person in the room. So yeah,
no,
exactly.
not at all. Not at all. And so thank you for, and I love the inclusion of, local area nonprofits too. I think that's amazing. And, we're all out here doing really hard work, right?
Yeah.
And, but really caring for people. And I think, to me, what the most important thing about what I do is just, I've made a living out of working for organizations that care about others and uplifting them and supporting them. And, as a leader, I think it's really important that I do that for my people as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We do it for others, and the first place you should be starting to do that is within, those within your own organization. Yeah. And so, that's the most, I think, important piece of being a leader is caring and having concern and empathy for those within your orbit.
Well, great. Well, this has been awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
We've learned
Thanks for the opportunity.
Terrific.
so much from you. It's been great. How can people get in touch with or contribute, volunteer, give to Goochland Cares, and then get in touch with you if they'd like to?
Yeah. We'd love that. Goochlandcares.org is our website. You can even fill out a volunteer application right on there to get involved. We have so many volunteer opportunities of different skills or no skill, right? If you could put cans on a shelf, you can come out and volunteer with us. Of course, make a donation if you're so inclined. You can get in touch with me through our website as well. Cool. I love to meet new people and connect and learn from others too.
Yeah. And visit the facility. It's buzzing.
Yeah, we'd love to have you out.
Yeah.
We have a lot going on all the time. And, one of my favorite things is to do a tour. because I get to share, all the amazing things we do and learn. Often my staff that will kind of pop in and share different parts of our work to visitors. I learn from them on the spot too. So
Yeah. Well, we can't thank you enough. We know how busy you are, so we can't thank you enough
thank
for
you
being on
guys.
here.
I appreciate it. Appreciate what you do, and look forward to the next 12 episodes.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Absolutely. 2026.
Come on.
Here we go.